I still remember the night everything started to feel wrong. It was one of those quiet evenings where the world feels almost too still, like even sounds afraid to move. I was sitting alone by the window, watching the trees outside my house sway under a thin layer of fog. The streetlight flickered in slow, tired pulses, painting the walls in soft golden shadow. Every now and then, I thought I heard something outside, maybe wind, maybe footsteps, but I told myself it was nothing. It always is, right? But that night felt different. The air didn't just feel cold, it felt aware. Like something was standing just beyond what I could see, waiting for me to stop pretending I was alone. I remember how my reflection in the glass seemed slightly delayed, like it was thinking a moment after I moved. And when I finally turned off the lights, the darkness didn't settle. It lingered, heavy and patient. That's when I noticed it. Not clearly at first, just a shape, still, outside the house, watching. And somehow I knew it had been there longer than I had. That's when I saw it move closer to the window. I live in a small house that sits too close to an empty road. The kind of road that looks forgotten even in daylight. At night, it disappears in a fog that never fully lifts. It started on a night like any other. Cold air pressing against the windows. A thin mist sliding across the ground like something alive. The streetlight outside humming faintly, uneven, tired. That was when I first saw it. Across the road. Standing. A shape, too still to be a person. Too undefined to be anything else. At first, I told myself it was just distance. Fog bending light into something unfamiliar. My eyes adjusting wrong in the dark. But it was there again the next night. Same place. Same posture. As if it had been waiting the entire day just to return. No movement. No shift in weight. Only presence. The air inside my room felt colder when I looked at it. Not outside. Inside. Like something had leaned closer without crossing space. I started watching it longer than I should have. Minutes stretching. The fog thickening in slow waves across the road. The shape never reacting. Never acknowledging. Just existing. Then one night, the fog changed. It wasn't gradual. It arrived all at once. Heavy, dense, swallowing the streetlight's glow. The world outside became a pale blur, and the shape, it was closer, not walking, not moving in any human way. Closer. My breath slowed without permission. My fingers went numb against the window frame. The glass felt damp, though no water touched it. I told myself it was imagination. Distance playing tricks again. Fog compressing space. But the outline was clearer now. Still wrong. Still undefined. But no longer distant. That night, I noticed something else. It wasn't touching the ground. There was space beneath it. A thin, impossible gap between form and earth. Like it was suspended just above reality itself. My throat tightened before I could think. Floating. The word came without sound. The streetlight flickered once. A weak pulse of yellow cutting through the fog. And in that blink of light, the shape was closer again. I stepped back from the window. Without realizing I had moved forward. My heartbeat felt too loud for the silence outside. Too slow for how fast something inside me was shifting. The next night, I tried not to look. I kept the curtains half drawn. I sat in the dim light of my room, listening to the house settle around me, wood creaking softly, pipes clicking faintly in the walls. But the feeling remained, that awareness, that I was being watched even without seeing. Eventually I looked. Of course I did. The fog was thicker than ever, like the road had been erased and rewritten in pale smoke. And the shape, it was nearer again, not by distance I could measure, by something else, something wrong, as if it existed in steps I could not understand. The streetlight flickered again, twice this time, uneven, stuttering, and in that unstable glow, I noticed it wasn't just standing. It was angled toward me, not facing, not turning, just oriented, like it had always known exactly where I was. My hand touched the glass without me deciding to. Cold spread through my palm, sharp and immediate. The window felt thinner than before. The shape did not move, but I felt it notice me. That is the only way I can describe it. Not sight, not sound, just a sudden weight of being seen back. I closed the curtain, sat in darkness that felt heavier than before. For a long time there was nothing. No sound outside, no wind, no hum from the streetlight, just silence stretched too thin. Then the flicker returned. Once. I did not want to look, but I did. The curtain shifted slightly on its own. Not pulled, not touched, just moved, like something had passed through the air beside it. And through the gap, the shape was closer again, still across the road, still in the fog, but not where it had been. It felt like it was learning the space between us, measuring it in ways I could not follow, reducing it without crossing it. My breath came shallow, quiet, controlled, like sound itself might be noticed. The streetlight went out completely for a moment, pure darkness. When it returned, the shape was no longer standing across the road. It was at the edge of the pavement, still floating, still wrong, closer than anything should have been able to get without crossing distance. And I understood something I didn't want to understand. It was not approaching. It was arriving in increments I could only notice after they happened. The fog thickened again, pressing against the glass like a soft weight, breathing without lungs. I stepped away from the window, slowly, careful not to disturb the silence. But even as I turned, I could still feel it there. Not behind me, not outside, just closer than before. And waiting. Night settles over the house like dust that refuses to fall. The air is thick, stale, carrying a faint metallic chill through the hallway. Even the walls feel closer, as if the house has been listening too long. It starts at midnight. A knock, not loud, not urgent, just present. From the front door. I don't move at first. My eyes stay open in the dark, fixed on the ceiling where shadows gather in corners like spilled ink. Then it comes again. Same place, same rhythm, patient, controlled. I check the camera feed. Empty porch. No motion, no shape, no wind pushing anything out of place. Still, the knocking continues, soft vibration under my skin more than in my ears. Like the house itself is remembering how it feels. I walk closer. Each step feels louder than the last. Floorboards sigh beneath me. The hallway light flickers once, then holds its breath. The door handle turns slightly. Not fully, just enough to show it can. I stop. The air tightens. Then the knocking changes. It begins to match something I recognize before I want to recognize it. My heartbeat, slow at first, then perfectly aligned. Knock. Pause. Knock. Inside my chest, something misfires. My pulse stutters, but outside, the rhythm stays perfect. I press my back against the wall. The wood is cold through my shirt, almost damp. The house feels less like shelter now, more like a shell being tested. The handle turns again. A fraction more, not forcing, not breaking, learning, as if whatever's outside is trying to understand the difference between locked and opened. I don't breathe for a moment. The knocking stops. Silence spreads fast, unnatural, heavy. Then, one final knock, right at the center of the door. And the handle moves again, just slightly, like an answer. The bedroom is too quiet at night. Even silence has layers here. Soft creaks, faint air shifts, the hum of something electrical that should not be on. The window faces the empty road. I notice the reflection first. Wrong. Not delayed. Not distorted. Just incorrect. My image stands in the glass, pale and still, but the room behind it is not the same as mine. The curtains hang differently. The shadows fall in reversed angles. Even the air looks heavier on the other side. I raise my hand. The reflection doesn't match me immediately. It waits a fraction too long, then moves. Not in sync, never in sync. Behind me, I feel nothing. But in the glass, something is there. A second presence, standing too close. I don't turn around. I can't. The reflection shifts again. The figure behind me moves when I don't. It leans slightly, head angled, as if studying me from inside the mirror world. The glass feels colder now, cold enough that my fingertips ache when I touch it. One night, I don't move at all. I stay still, testing it, trying to break the pattern. The reflection doesn't stop, but it smiles. I don't. The moment stretches too long. The air feels suspended, like the room forgot how to continue. The glass fogs slightly from the inside, not from breath, from something pressing closer. I step back. The reflection stays forward, watching, waiting, and for the first time, I understand it isn't copying me. It is deciding when I am real. The house feels different after midnight. Not quieter, not louder, just aware. The hallway stretches longer in the dark. Wooden floor cold beneath bare feet. Air carrying that dry, old paper smell that never leaves. It starts upstairs. Footsteps, slow, measured, like someone walking without hurry, without purpose. I sit up in bed, listening. The sound continues above me, dragging softly across the ceiling. Each step spaced too evenly to feel natural. I tell myself it's settling wood. Old pipes. Wind pressure shifting the frame. But the rhythm doesn't change. Step. Pause. Step. I get up. The floor creaks instantly beneath me, and the footsteps stop. Silence drops so fast it feels physical. Like something has leaned in and held the house still. I freeze, waiting. Then, a single step above, matching mine. My throat tightens. I don't move again. The footsteps stop again. That is when I notice it. The rule. Silence triggers it. Not sound. Not movement. Attention. I take a slow breath and stay still. Nothing. I shift my weight slightly. Above me, one step. I back into the hallway, without making noise. Each motion careful, controlled, like I am walking inside glass. The house feels like it is watching me decide what to do next. Every door is closed, locked, every room empty. But the footsteps continue above the empty space, following only when I acknowledge them. I test it once. I cough softly. Immediately, 2 steps upstairs. Faster now, closer together, like it is responding. I stop again. The house settles instantly, too instantly, as if it was never disturbed at all. But I know better now. Something is learning the shape of my attention. Not where I am, not what I do, what I notice. I retreat to my room slowly, closing the door behind me without a sound. The moment the latch clicks, a step upstairs, right above me, perfectly aligned, waiting for the next time I react. Outside my window, there is only one streetlight. It stands alone on the empty road, bending slightly in the fog like it is tired of standing upright. Most nights it flickers, but tonight it behaves differently. It blinks. Once. Pause. Twice. Then nothing. I watch it without meaning to. The glass cold against my forehead. The air behind me still, unmoving. The fog outside thickens again, swallowing the edges of the light, until only the center remains visible. Then it blinks again. Same pattern. Once. Twice. My chest tightens before I understand why. It matches something. I blink, and the light responds immediately. Once. Twice. I step back from the window. The streetlight holds steady now. No flicker. No hesitation. Just watching. Waiting for me to move again. I don't blink for a while. Nothing happens. The fog drifts slowly. Soft waves across the road. The air inside the room feels colder than it should, like it is copying the outside temperature. Then I blink. The light stays on. Unblinking. Still watching. That is when I notice something beneath it. At the edge of vision. Not centered. Not clear. Just a suggestion of shape. When I look away too quickly. Something standing under the streetlight. But it disappears when I focus. I try again. Look directly. Nothing. Look away. There. Again. Closer than before. The light above it never changes. Never flickers. Never breaks. Just continues its steady, unnatural awareness. My eyes start to sting from holding them open too long. But I am afraid to blink again. Still I do. Once. Twice. The streetlight does not respond immediately this time. A delay. Then, once. Twice. Slower. Like it is thinking before copying me now. The figure beneath it feels nearer each time I fail to watch correctly. I step away from the window completely. But even in the dark of my room, I can still see it in my mind. Waiting under the light. Blinking when I blink. and stopping when I don't, as if it has learned the difference between seeing and being seen. The house next door has always looked wrong at night, not abandoned in a clear way, more like it forgot how to belong to anyone. Still, I see someone there. Every evening. Same window, same position. A figure standing perfectly still, framed by dim, dusty glass. No movement, no change, just presence. I start noticing it during the hours when everything else feels too quiet, when even the refrigerator hum fades into the walls. The figure never leaves a window, never sits, never shifts, just watches outward into nothing specific. I begin checking during the day. The house is empty. No curtains moving. No furniture inside that I can see clearly. No sign of life. But at night, it returns, always in the same place. One evening, I raise my hand. A small wave, just curiosity, nothing more. The figure responds. A slow, delayed wave back. My stomach tightens. Because I am alone. There should be no one there to answer. The next night, I don't look. I try not to, but I still feel it. The pressure of being observed through walls that should not carry sight. And then, I see it inside my house. Not at the window. Not across the street. Inside the hallway. Standing in the same posture. Same stillness. Closer than before. The door appears without sound. One night, I walked the hallway and noticed something wrong with the wall. A seam that wasn't there before. A vertical break in the paint-like reality has been peeled slightly apart. I stop. The air feels different here. Thicker. Older. My hand touches the surface. And it gives way. A door. Not new exactly. More like it was always meant to be there. And only just remembered its shape. It opens too easily. Inside, another house. My house. But wrong. Older. Dust heavy. The light inside is dim yellowed, like memory that has been left too long in the sun. The air smells dry, almost burnt. Every step I take leaves no sound. The same hallway stretches forward, but slightly off in proportion. Longer than it should be, narrower in places it shouldn't narrow. Dust floats upward instead of falling. I stop breathing for a moment. A voice echoes from deeper inside. Mine, but delayed. Not speaking what I say now, but what I might say next. I hear myself call out, soft, uncertain, from somewhere deeper in the house. Something inside shifts, not moving toward me, moving toward replacement, like the house is rehearsing me. I step back. The door behind me is still open, but the hallway inside feels aware now, watching a version of me that has already arrived, waiting for me to catch up. Midnight, the phone rings. No number, no vibration before it starts. Just sudden sound cutting through the house like a crack in glass. I don't answer at first, but it keeps ringing. Slow, patient. Eventually, I pick it up. Static breath fills the line before anything else. Cold, uneven, like air moving through broken wires. Then a voice. Mine, but wrong. Delayed, fractured, as if it is speaking from a place that cannot fully form sound. I can see you, it says softly. My fingers tighten around the phone. I am outside. I look toward the window, instinctively. No, it continues. Don't. A pause. Then, it is already there. My throat goes dry. The voice continues, describing the room I am in. Not guesses, not general words, exact details. The curtain half closed, the flicker in the hallway light, the way I am standing too still, like it is watching in real time. I step back from the window. My pulse feels too loud in my ears. The voice gets quieter, closer. Don't look out the window. A tap on glass. Immediate, sharp, right beside me. The call ends. Silence returns too fast again, like it was waiting for permission. I do not turn. But I already know something is outside, matching what I do inside. He appears every night on the road, always the same direction, always moving backward, slow steps, careful balance, like the act of walking itself is being undone. His body faces away from where he goes, but he never turns around. At first, I watch from a distance, curious, uneasy, He is always there when the fog is thin, never speaking, never stopping, just reversing down the empty road. Cameras show something different. On screen, he is facing forward, but his face is wrong. No eyes, just blank space where they should be. When I check again directly, he is still walking backward, closer each night, until one evening, I acknowledge him. I say nothing. I just stand by the window longer than usual. He stops immediately. Stillness. Then he turns toward the house, not walking anymore, just facing it. And then he steps inside, without breaking anything, without opening anything. Like distance was never required. The light begins softly, a glow behind the curtains that should not exist. No lamp, no device, no source I can find. Just brightness pressed against fabric, warm at first, then slowly breathing. The curtains shift slightly on their own. Not wind, rhythm, like something is moving inside them. I watch without touching anything. The light responds. It brightens when I move closer, dims when I step back, as if it is tracking me through the fabric. I try not to blink, but when I do, the glow sharpens, edges forming, not circular, not stable, more like an eye trying to remember its shape. The air in the room tightens. Every breath feels measured now, not mine alone. The curtains pulse once, slow, then again. The light settles into something clearer, focused, watching, and I realize it is not behind the curtains anymore. It is the curtains. The house feels different at 3:13 a.m., not quieter, not louder, just timed. Every night, I wake without knowing why, like something inside me already remembers the moment before it happens. At exactly 3:13, a door opens, not violently, not slowly either, just inevitability. Creaking wood, cold air slipping through a crack that should not exist. The hallway beyond looks normal at first glance. Then the door closes. A soft click. Too final, too clean, and immediately it opens again. The second opening is wrong. The room beyond is the same shape, same walls, but darker, older, heavier, like the same space after it has been left alone inside memory too long. The air feels thicker there, dust hanging midair like it forgot how to fall. Something stands between both versions of the room, not fully visible, only suggested by the way shadows overlap incorrectly. Each night, it steps slightly further through, not rushing, not forcing, learning how to exist across both sides. And I realize it is not entering my house. It is syncing with it. It starts as silence you notice too late. Then, whispering, under the bed, soft, uneven, like breath caught in fabric and dust. At first, it's just noise without shape. Broken sounds that don't form language. I lie still, staring at the ceiling. The floor beneath me feels colder than it should, like something is taking heat from the room below. The whisper changes slowly, patterns forming inside it. Then, my name, clearer now, not spoken, remembered. I sit up. The bed creaks softly. The whisper pauses immediately. Waiting. The dust beneath the frame shifts slightly. Not settling. Breathing. I lean closer without meaning to. The voice responds. Closer now. Not just calling me. Recognizing me. It says something I almost understand. Then repeats my name again. Like it has been practicing it for years. The air feels tight under the bed frame. And then it tells me it has been there since childhood. Waiting in spaces I never looked. Screens never feel safe after this. TV, phone, mirror reflection when the light is wrong. All of them begin to show him differently. The static man, at first just distortion, a shape forming inside white noise. Then clearer, a figure built from broken signal. Edges flickering like the world cannot decide what he is. He is never consistent. Sometimes tall, sometimes too narrow, sometimes almost human, but never fully. He appears only when the signal breaks. But over time, he learns, not just to appear, to imitate. My movements on screen begin to repeat a second too late, then perfectly. Then before I do them, I freeze once. The static man freezes first. I turn my head, slightly, He turns before me, not copying anymore, leading. The screens begin to feel less like reflections, more like windows, and something on the other side has started deciding where I move next. Morning should feel different, but today, it doesn't arrive properly. I wake and the room is dim. Not night dark, not morning light, something in between. I go outside. The world is normal. Sunlight sharp, sky clear, air warm. But the moment I step back inside, it disappears. The house refuses it. Like light itself cannot enter anymore. Every window shows brightness outside, but none of it comes in. Inside remains cold, muted, wrong. Time feels slower here. Seconds stretching slightly too long, like the house is delaying them. The walls begin to change in subtle ways, not physically, but in memory. They feel like they are remembering conversations that were never spoken, footsteps that were never made, voices that echo softly when no one is near them. The house feels tired, not abandoned, alive, and exhausted from remembering too much. It begins with a shape I almost ignore, a shadow under the door at night. Not mine, not cast by anything visible, just a dark line stretching too far along the floor. At first, I think it's normal. Light distortion, angle mistake, but appears under every closed door, every room, every night, always there, always different in length. When I breathe too loudly, it grows slightly. When I move, it reacts, stretching, shifting, adjusting like it understands fear. I stop testing it. That makes it worse, because now it responds to stillness too. A soft knock comes from underneath, not on the door. From below it, the shadow presses upward gently, like something testing the boundary between floor and reality. I step away. The knocking follows, slow, patient, like it has learned that I will eventually listen. The mirror in the hallway has never been reliable, but tonight it feels early. I stop in front of it without meaning to. Cold air clings to glass, even though the house is warm enough. My reflection stands there, still, familiar, wrong in ways I can't name at first. Behind it, the hallway continues, but not as it should. Something moves there before I do, a shape shifting in the space behind my reflection, out of sync with reality. I lift my hand. The reflection does not follow immediately. It waits, then moves, too late. Or maybe I am the one who is late. The reflection changes again. The background behind it shows things that have not happened yet. A light turning off, a door opening, my own body standing still while something passes behind me. I step back. The mirror does not step back. It stays forward, watching. Then one night, it stops copying me entirely. My reflection remains still while I move. Then it smiles, not slowly, not naturally, like it has been waiting to stop pretending. The glass feels thinner when it steps closer, and I realize it was never reflecting me. It was deciding when I should exist. The stairs appear without announcement. One night, I notice a narrow staircase rising from the attic, what I have never seen before. Dust-free, untouched, impossibly preserved. It leads upward, past where the roof should end. I follow. Each step feels lighter than it should. Air thinning, sound fading behind me. At the top, a door. No markings. No handle. Just presence. It opens by itself. Inside is a room that should not exist. Everything is almost right, but slightly off color. Like reality has been repainted from memory instead of truth. The air is still, too still. My footsteps make no sound. And yet, I hear knocking. Not from outside. From beneath the floor of this room. Slow, repeated, like something underneath is trying to remember me. I step closer. The knocking pauses, then resumes in a pattern that feels familiar. My arrival, replayed, not as event, but as memory being tested for accuracy. Something is repeating me, not copying, rehearsing. The whisper starts small, almost like thought, not sound at first, just awareness forming at the edge of hearing. Then it becomes words. It tells me things before they happen. Small things. A glass slipping from my hand. A light flickering before it does. A knock at a door I haven't opened yet. I begin to listen without meaning to, because it is always right. The voice grows clearer over time, more patient, more personal. It stops warning. It starts instructing. Don't turn on the hallway light. Wait 3 seconds before standing. Do not answer the next sound. When I follow, the world shifts slightly, not dramatically, just enough that I notice something has been rearranged without permission, like reality is being edited in small corrections. The voice becomes quieter when I disobey, not angry, disappointed, and that feels worse. He stands at the edge of the property every night, just beyond the fence line, always the same place, same posture, facing inward, never crossing. At first, I think he is watching the house, but the longer I observe, the less that explanation fits. He doesn't move like a person waiting. He moves like something already decided. The air around him feels uneven, like distance loses meaning near him. One night, I blink too long. When I look again, his shadow is inside the house, stretching across the hallway floor. Even though he has not moved, I check the window. He is still outside, but now he feels closer than outside should allow. The boundary stops matching. Eventually, he is no longer standing at the fence. He is simply present, and the idea of outside stops feeling real. It begins at midnight. A clock I never noticed before starts ticking. Wrong direction, backward, slow at first, then steady. The sound spreads through the house like a pulse reversing itself. Tick, tock, but undone. Time inside the house begins to fracture. A conversation I had earlier repeats, but slightly different. A word missing, a sentence changed, a memory misaligned. I try to write things down. The words don't match later. Small details disappear first, then larger ones. The feeling of where I was standing, the reason I entered a room, the certainty that I locked a door. Everything begins to blur in reverse order. Like the house is not just rewinding time, but rewriting what time meant in the first place. The clock keeps ticking backward, patient, unbothered, and I start to wonder if I am moving forward at all anymore. The basement has never felt fully empty, even when nothing is there. Tonight, the air changes before I even open the door. Warm, thick, alive in a way air should not be. The stairs creak softly under my weight. Each step downward feels like entering something that is already awake. The walls are wrong, not cracked, not broken, just expanding slightly, then contracting, slow, rhythmic, patient, like lungs remembering how to breathe. I stop halfway down. The sound is clearer now, not wind, not pipes, breathing, deep, uneven, too large for the space it comes from. The lights flicker once, then again, in sync with something unseen below. The basement is not empty. It is waiting, and it notices that I have noticed it. The photograph is old, kept in a frame that should have been forgotten years ago. Family, faces, a moment that once felt still, but now it moves, not physically, not in motion, in detail. Subtle changes each morning, a face slightly turned, an expression softened or sharpened, a background object appearing where none existed before. I stop touching it, but it keeps changing anyway. One night, I notice something new, a figure in the background, barely visible at first, standing too still. The next morning, it is closer, then closer again, until the photo no longer feels like a memory. It feels like a place being entered, and then I see it. I am no longer in it. Something else has taken my position, not removed, replaced. I hear rain at night, clear, steady, familiar, but when I look outside, the sky is still, no clouds moving, no drops falling, no wind disturbing anything. Yet the sound continues, tapping against glass, roof, ground, soft, rhythmic, like language spoken without mouth. I press my hand to the window, dry, no moisture, no trace, but the sound grows sharper when I listen longer. Patterns forming inside it, not random anymore, structured, almost like it is trying to be understood. The sky remains perfectly motionless, but the rain keeps speaking. And I realize it is not falling, it is repeating. It begins without warning. A knock, then another, then everywhere. Walls, doors, windows, ceiling, floor, all at once. The house vibrates slightly under pressure of it. Lights fail one by one in sequence, like something is turning them off in order, left to right, upstairs to downstairs, room to room. The space shrinks emotionally before it shrinks physically. The house feels smaller, closer, like it is folding inward. The knocking does not stop. It gathers, becoming less like sound and more like presence pressing against structure. Then, silence, for half a second, too precise to feel natural. And then a final pattern forms. Every direction at once. Something outside or inside asks to enter, not forcefully, politely, like it has always been expected. The silence that follows is complete, not empty, removed. Even thought feels quieter now. I stand in the middle of the house, unsure when I stop moving. No more knocks, no more footsteps, no more distant patterns pretending to be separate things. Just stillness and understanding. There's no one outside anymore. There never was. Everything I experienced, every shape, every voice, every pattern, was not approaching the house. It was becoming aware of it. And me. The realization settles slowly, not like fear, like recognition. The house is not being invaded. It is remembering what it already contains. The fog, the knocking, the reflections, the voices. They were never separate events, just different ways of noticing the same presence. Inside, always inside. Even me, especially me. And as the last thought settles, there is no fear left to follow it, only quiet understanding. Like something is finally finished waking up. I don't know how to explain what I saw that night without sounding like I'm lying, but I remember it too clearly to forget. It started on a road I was never supposed to take. A narrow stretch of cracked asphalt cutting through endless pine forest. My headlights barely touched the trees. Everything beyond the beams felt swallowed, like the dark itself was alive and leaning closer. The radio stopped working miles back. Even my phone lost signal, just a small glowing screen with no world behind it. That's when I noticed her. At first, I thought it was a trick of light, maybe branches shifting, maybe fog gathering in the wrong shape. But then she moved, not toward the road, just slightly closer to the edge of the trees, like she had been standing there the entire time, waiting for me to look. I slowed the car, and that's when I saw her face properly. She wasn't running. She wasn't hiding. She was just watching. Her eyes didn't reflect my headlights the way they should have. And when I finally stopped the car completely, the forest went so quiet it felt like even the wind had forgotten how to breathe. Then she tilted her head, just a small movement, like she recognized me. That's when I saw it. There were more of them in the trees. It was late when I drove onto the forest road. No streetlights, only the pale glow of my headlights cutting through thin mist and black branches. The air already felt wrong, like it had been waiting. That's when I saw her, a girl standing at the edge of the trees, completely still, not like someone waiting, more like something placed there. I remember blinking. When my eyes opened again, she was closer, not walking, not running, just closer. The road should have gone straight, but it didn't. It looped back. Same cracked asphalt, same leaning trees, even the same broken street sign, weathered unreadable, like it had been erased too many times. The radio cracked to life, static, then something almost like voices under it, whispers folding into each other. I turned the dial. Nothing changed. Only her, always her, farther ahead now, never behind. The forest grew quieter with every mile. Not peaceful quiet, listening quiet, like even the trees were holding their breath. I started noticing marks on them, carvings, symbols that looked almost like eyes, and sometimes they looked back. When I wasn't directly staring, the forest shifted, subtle at first, then undeniable. Branches changing position between blinks. Shadows no longer matching the trees that cast them. Footsteps began to follow mine, but I was alone. I checked the mirrors, and for half a second, she was inside the reflection, sitting in the back seat. When I turned, nothing, no one remembered her. When I tried to say anything out loud, even my own voice felt unsure. The moment I spoke about her, the radio hissed louder, almost like it didn't want the name to exist. Time slipped. The dashboard clock jumped forward an hour, without warning. No warning, no blur, just missing time. And after it happened, she was closer again. I started doubting myself. Not the road, not the forest. Me. Then I saw them, between the trees. Human shapes, standing perfectly still, not reacting, not breathing wrong, just watching from places I couldn't focus on for too long. If I looked directly at them, they stopped existing. If I looked away, they moved, always repositioning, like they were learning me, and she stood among them sometimes, or near them, or maybe she was the reason they stayed still. The fog came fast after that, thick, heavy, warm against the glass. It pressed against the windshield like a face trying to form, and it said my name, not loudly, not clearly, but close enough that I stopped breathing for a moment. The road stopped feeling like a road. GPS directions changed while I was watching them, routes rewriting themselves in real time. Every turn led back into deeper forest. No exit stayed real for long. The sky never brightened again after that. It stayed trapped in a dim, endless dusk. And still, she waited ahead, always waiting, never rushing me, almost like patience was a point. Then the car started to change. The engine didn't respond the way it should. Brakes delayed. Steering felt slightly wrong, like something else was holding it, like I wasn't the only one driving anymore. The forest reacted to me. Wrong choices weren't ignored. They were corrected. Paths closing behind me like wounds sealing shut. And then the radio came back again. But this time it was worse. It wasn't random voices. It was descriptions of what I was doing, what I would do next. Sometimes it even sounded like me speaking. I tried to escape it. I saw a break in the trees once. A real road. Highway lights in the distance. Hope hit fast. Too fast. And there she was, standing right in the center of it, waiting. The moment I reached her, everything reset. Same forest, same road, same silence. Again and again, another driver appeared once, just for a moment. Same car, same headlights, same hesitation. He looked like me. Then he was gone. She noticed both of us like it didn't matter which one stayed. The forest started speaking clearly after that. Not whispers anymore. Sentences. Layered voices. Like the trees were thinking together. It described everything I would do before I did it. And she stopped being just something I saw. She became part of it. An interpreter. A bridge between whatever this place is and me. Then I learned the truth. This wasn't a forest. It was a system. A containment that had been running far longer than I could understand. And I was never lost. I was expected. The trees weren't growing. They were remembering. And then I understood the worst part. She wasn't alone. She never had been. Because when I finally stopped the car, I saw her multiply. Not fast. Not sudden. Just more of her. Standing between the trees. Standing in reflections. Standing behind the glass. Everywhere I looked, the car wouldn't move anymore. The engine stopped trying. Even time felt like it had settled, and the forest felt complete, like it had finished learning me. The last thing I remember is realizing I'm no longer inside it. I am part of it, and something is still watching. The forest road should have ended. I kept telling myself that as I drove. Straight lines are supposed to end somewhere. At towns, at exits, at something familiar. But this road didn't believe in ending. It bent back into itself. Same cracked asphalt. Same leaning trees. Same broken sign with letters too faded to read properly. I passed it twice. Then 3 times. Each time felt slightly colder inside the car. The radio clicked on again. Static first. Then something under it. Not words exactly. More like breath trying to become speech. I turned it off. It stayed on. And ahead she appeared again. The girl, farther this time, standing where the road should have continued. still, watching. I blinked. She was closer, not running, not walking, just repositioned, like the road itself had decided she should be nearer. My hands tightened on the wheel. I checked the mirrors, only forest behind me. But it didn't feel like I was going forward anymore. It felt like I was being moved. The street signs changed after that. At first, I thought I was just tired, but the names weren't random. They felt wrong in a specific way, like language remembering something it shouldn't. The radio whispered again, this time clearer, almost like a voice buried inside the static. I stopped trying to understand it, because understanding felt like answering. And she was still there, always ahead, never gone, just adjusting distance. The forest around me began to feel narrower, not physically, but like it was closing attention, watching more closely, listening harder. I stopped trusting the road, and slowly, I stopped trusting that I was the one driving on it. The trees started changing after a while. At first, I thought it was light playing tricks, shadows stretching wrong, bark patterns shifting when I wasn't looking. But then I stopped the car, stepped out. The air felt heavier outside, like it had density, like it could press against skin. That's when I saw the marks. Carvings in the bark, not natural, not random. Eyes, dozens of them, some wide open, some half-formed. All of them pointed in different directions, yet somehow all toward me. When I looked directly at one tree, nothing moved, but when I blinked, the pattern changed. Not all at once, just enough to notice I shouldn't have noticed. I got back into the car, but the feeling stayed. Something behind me, beside me, above me. The forest didn't feel empty anymore. It felt occupied, like I had entered a place already full. Footsteps began to appear, not outside the car, not inside it either, just present, echoing where no movement existed. I checked the mirrors again. Nothing, still nothing, but the silence outside felt wrong, too intentional. And then I saw them, between the trees, standing figures, human-shaped, but not behaving like humans should. Perfect stillness when observed, and movement the moment I stopped looking. I tried not to look away, but that was worse, because she was among them, not separate, not leading, just part of the arrangement, like the forest had decided what she was, and I was only allowed to see it in pieces. The air inside the car felt thinner after that, like breathing was being measured, like something was counting it. I tried saying her name, at least what I thought her name might be. The moment I spoke it, the radio cracked louder, a sharp burst of static, then silence, the kind that feels like punishment. I tried again. Nothing came out right. The words slipped away before I could hold them, like the forest didn't approve of language being used that way. And then she appeared, not outside, inside the reflection of the windshield, sitting where no seat existed, just for a second, then gone. I stopped the car immediately, turned around, empty back seat, but the feeling of her stayed behind my eyes, like she had been closer than sight allows. I tried recording my voice. I don't know why. It felt important at the time. But when I played it back, there was nothing, only silence, and faint static underneath it, as if the recording itself refused to acknowledge what I said. The forest reacted after that. Not loudly, not violently, just heavier. Every mile felt more weighted than the last, like the road was no longer distance, but memory being stretched thin. I stopped mentioning her after that, not because I forgot, but because the world seemed calmer when I didn't. And that scared me more than anything, because silence felt like agreement. The clock changed without warning. One moment it was steady, the next it wasn't. An hour gone, no memory of it leaving, no sense of transition, just absence, like a page removed from reality. I checked everything. Fuel, distance, road markers. Nothing matched the time I had left behind. And she was closer again. Of course she was. I started questioning my memory after that. Not just what I saw, but what I believed I saw. The forest didn't help. It felt less like surroundings now, and more like pressure, constant, quiet, observing. The shadows began behaving strangely, deeper than they should have been, Even in weak light, they stretched too far, too long, like they were trying to reach something I couldn't see. I stopped checking the mirrors as often, because every time I did, I felt like something was checking me back. The missing hour never returned. It stayed gone, like it had never agreed to exist in the first place. And I kept driving, even though part of me wasn't sure anymore if I was still moving forward or just being kept here. The deeper I drove, the more the forest stopped feeling empty. It was never just trees anymore. There were shapes between them, human-like, still, waiting in positions that didn't make sense for bodies. Whenever I looked directly, they froze completely, like the act of being seen erased their movement. But the moment my eyes shifted away, I could feel them rearrange. Not quickly, patiently, like they had done it before, like they knew I would look away eventually. And she was there again, among them, not leading them, not separate from them, just accepted by them. That realization made my hands go cold on the steering wheel, because it meant the forest wasn't hiding anything. It was arranging everything, including her, including me. The road signs changed when I stopped trusting them. At first it was subtle, letters shifting slightly when I blinked, then whole words replaced with unfamiliar symbols. The GPS started speaking in fragments, not directions, suggestions, warnings. Sometimes even my own thoughts echoed back at me through it. And in the reflection of the screen, she appeared, watching, not moving, just present where she shouldn't be. I turned the GPS off, but the voice didn't leave. It just stopped needing a device. The road ahead felt less like distance now, more like instruction, like something was guiding where I could go without ever touching the wheel. The fog arrived without warning, thick, fast, heavy. It didn't roll in like weather. It arrived like awareness. The headlights barely held it back, and then it formed shapes, faces, not clear enough to recognize, but too human to ignore. They moved with the car, not around it, with it. And then I heard it, my name, soft, not spoken loudly, just placed inside the fog, like it had always been there waiting to be heard. I gripped the wheel tighter, because the strange part wasn't that it knew my name. It was how familiar it felt saying it, like the forest had used it before I ever existed. I kept looking for an exit. Every turn promised one. Every sign implied escape. But every road led back inside, not physically looping. Something worse, meaning looping. The same feeling, the same silence, the same trees pretending they were new. Daylight never came again. The sky stayed locked in a dim, permanent dusk, like time had stopped bothering to change. And she was always there, at every intersection, never blocking the road, just waiting at the exact place I needed to go through. Like leaving wasn't something the forest allowed, only something it observed attempts at. The mirrors started lying, not all at once, slowly, rear view first, then side mirrors, then anything reflective. They began showing more than what was there. Extra figures, extra movement. Sometimes me, sitting where I wasn't, and always her. Behind me, closer in reflections than in reality. One night I stopped the car and stared into the rearview mirror. The road behind me wasn't there, just darkness, like the car had forgotten where it came from. When I turned around, the road was still there, but I didn't trust that anymore, because reflections had started feeling more honest than sight. And that was the first time I truly understood something was wrong with the space I was inside, not just the place I was driving through. It happened between blinks. One moment the passenger seat was empty. The next it wasn't, not filled in a normal way. More like something had agreed to occupy space without announcing itself. No sound, no movement, just pressure, like the air had become heavier on that side of the car. The seatbelt clicked on by itself. Slow, certain, final. I didn't touch it. I remember not breathing for a few seconds, waiting for something to react. Nothing did. Outside, the forest kept passing like nothing had changed. But inside the car, I wasn't alone anymore, and I could feel her presence outside the windows, watching, almost approving, like this was expected, like the silence beside me was part of the pattern she had been guiding all along. I kept my eyes forward, because looking beside me felt like acknowledging something I couldn't take back. And still, I stopped feeling alone after that, which somehow made it worse. I noticed that because the forest stopped moving normally, everything became too still. Even the leaves seemed suspended in thought. Then I saw the tree. It didn't look different at first, just larger, older, but then I realized it was moving, not swaying, breathing. The bark expanded slowly, then settled back in, like lungs hidden under wood. I stopped the car without thinking, stepped out. The air near it felt warmer, denser, and wrong in a way I couldn't explain without sounding insane to myself. Faces formed briefly in the bark, not carved, not permanent, just emerging and fading like memories trying to surface. And beneath it, she stood, looking up, not afraid, not surprised, like she had been there longer than the tree itself. The forest around us felt suddenly aware of its own existence, like everything was watching everything else, just to confirm it was still real. The sound disappeared first, not gradually, all at once. Engine noise, wind, even my own breathing against the glass. Gone. The world became visually normal, but acoustically erased. I pressed my hand against the horn. Nothing. No reaction from reality. Just silence that felt thick enough to lean on. And then I noticed her again. She wasn't closer. She wasn't farther. She was simply consistent, like distance no longer applied. I tried speaking. My lips moved, but no sound returned to me. Instead, the forest responded. Branches shifted slightly before I moved. Road texture adjusted before the wheels touched it, like everything was delayed, but already aware of what I intended. Even she moved that way, as if the forest knew her decisions before she made them. Silence didn't feel empty anymore. It felt shared. The radio returned violently, not as noise, as fragments, voices layered over each other, overlapping like broken memory. Some were distant conversations, some were instructions, some sounded like me speaking from somewhere I wasn't. I froze when I recognized that part, because I wasn't saying those things in the car. At least, I didn't remember saying them. And then static sharpened into clarity for a moment. Her presence flickered through the transmission, not physically, but like she existed inside the signal itself, watching through interference. I turned the volume down. It got louder. I turned it off. It stayed on. The forest outside felt closer after that. Not physically, conceptually, like distance was no longer a reliable idea. The road changed texture first. Small cracks forming where there shouldn't be any stress. Then larger ones. Then roots pushing through like veins remembering where to rise. The asphalt didn't break. It surrendered. I watched as the road beneath me began to sink, not collapse, be absorbed, like the forest had decided it was time to reclaim what it had been pretending wasn't part of it. The trees leaned closer, not moving their trunks, just appearing closer between frames of perception, and she walked easily across it all. Where the ground failed, she didn't. Where the road disappeared, she remained steady, like stability followed her instead of geography. My car tilted slightly as the surface changed. Control felt thinner now, like I wasn't driving on a road anymore, but on something that was slowly deciding what a road used to be. And somewhere deep in the forest, something was learning how I reacted to losing it. Something inside me started fading before I noticed it was happening. Not memories all at once, just pieces. Why I chose this road, where I was going, what before even looked like. I tried to hold on to details, but they slipped away like water through fingers. The forest didn't seem to care. It continued existing with perfect confidence, as if forgetting was part of the design. Inside the car, familiar things began to feel unfamiliar. My phone showed photos I didn't remember taking. The images were of this road, this forest, even her, but I couldn't remember when or why. And the worst part, I started recognizing her less. Not because she changed, because I did. She looked the same every time. But my ability to understand what same meant was breaking. It felt like identity itself was becoming optional. The trees were no longer just textured. They were aware. At first, I thought it was light again. Another trick. But then I saw them blink, eyes embedded in bark. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Not all at once. Never all at once. They took turns watching. My movement didn't feel private anymore. Every step, every breath inside the car was tracked. Even when I wasn't looking at them, I could feel their attention shifting. Like the forest didn't just contain me, it was studying me. She stood among them without hesitation, like she belonged to their system of watching. And somehow, that made her feel less like a person and more like an instruction the forest was following. Something changed in her behavior, or maybe in my perception of it. She stopped approaching, stopped repositioning closer. She simply waited, always at the same distance now, always visible, never invading space. And that consistency felt worse than movement ever did, because it meant patience, and patience meant intention. I started noticing myself adjusting instead, my driving subtly shifting toward her, without deciding, without realizing, like gravity had changed direction, and I was only now noticing its pull. She wasn't chasing me anymore, and I think that was the moment I started going to her instead. The car stopped behaving like mine. The ignition still worked, but the response wasn't immediate anymore. Sometimes the engine would start before I turned the key. Sometimes it wouldn't respond at all. The brakes became unreliable, not failing, just delayed, as if something was deciding timing for me. The steering wheel felt slightly off-center, like it had learned to prefer direction. Outside, the forest didn't react to my confusion. It reacted to my movement, as if my decisions were already known before I made them. And she appeared more often now when I lost control, not interfering, just present, observing the lack of resistance. It started small. A wrong turn corrected itself. A blocked path opening again only when I reconsidered. At first, I thought it was coincidence, then pattern, then intent. The forest was responding to me, not randomly, not passively. It was learning. Every mistake I made was met with adjustment. Every hesitation was answered. Every attempt to escape was understood and redirected. The trees didn't just move. They adapted. And she felt like part of that adaptation process. Not controlling it, but confirming it. As if she was watching to see whether I had learned anything yet. And slowly, I realized the most disturbing part. The forest wasn't trapping me anymore. It was teaching me how not to leave. I saw it before I believed it. A stretch of highway. Real. Bright enough to feel wrong in this place. The trees opened slightly. Just enough to show distance again. No looping. No returning. Just forward. My chest tightened with something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. It came too fast. Too sharp. I accelerated without thinking. The road felt normal for the first time in what felt like forever. No resistance, no correction, just forward motion. And then I saw her, standing directly in the path of the exit, not blocking it aggressively, just present, like she had always been there waiting for this exact moment. I tried to slow down. The brakes responded late. Too late. When I reached her, everything reset. Same road, same forest, same dim sky that never changed anymore. Hope didn't disappear. It just stopped meaning anything after that. I noticed the other car in my side mirror first. Same make, same color, same headlights. It drove parallel to me for a few seconds, close enough that I could see inside. The driver looked like me, not similar, identical, same posture, same hesitation, same confusion reflected back at me. I blinked, and the car was gone. No passing, no fading, just absence, like it had been erased mid-motion. But she looked toward where it had been, acknowledging it, as if more than one version of me wasn't surprising, as if it was expected. That was the moment reality stopped feeling singular, like I wasn't the only one experiencing this road anymore, just one of several attempts. The forest stopped whispering after that. It started speaking clearly, not through devices, not through static. Directly, layered voices formed in the air around the car, each sentence overlapping slightly out of sync. It didn't describe what was happening. It described what would happen next. Before I did anything, already knew. Before I thought anything, it already answered. And for the first time, she wasn't just part of the landscape. She was part of the translation. As if she existed to turn the forest's awareness into something I could barely understand. I stopped trying to predict anything after that, because prediction wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to the forest now. The road dipped slightly, and the trees opened wider than before. Not like an exit, like exposure. I saw deeper into the structure beneath everything. The forest wasn't just surrounding the road. It was built from it, layered, interlocked, endless. And I understood something I couldn't ununderstand. This wasn't a place I entered. It was a system I was placed inside. The girl wasn't trapped here with me. She was part of the mechanism that made it work. A function, not a companion. And I was not lost. I was accounted for. Every loop, every reset, every correction. It had been expecting me, not trying to stop me, just ensuring I arrived correctly. I stopped fighting the car, not because I accepted it, because resistance stopped changing anything. The forest felt complete now, not empty, not alive, complete. The trees stood closer than before, all of them watching without needing to move. Every surface felt aware. Every reflection carried too many versions of me. And she wasn't one figure anymore. She multiplied, quietly, naturally, like she had always been many, and I just hadn't been allowed to see it. The car stopped responding entirely. Not broken, just settled, like it had fulfilled its purpose. I realized then that I wasn't inside the forest anymore. I was part of what it was observing. And the last thought I had wasn't mine alone. It was shared, across everything that was watching.